up, and I think the host of Citizen is now live with radio. Super Lady Fan, myself, Saga Star, well, with online. A lot of stuff going down. We want to be in a situation where we can build and maintain a place in the world. Going to them. Bugging out. That's fine. Definitely as the Sagittarian period, definitely a trying time for a lot of us. That's going through instances in which we're trying to get things together. We're trying to get things together. We're striving to get things and in fact, unfortunately, the society that doesn't really respect that. A lot of people get one at its feet. And unfortunately, a lot of us conform to that idea, and part of the what opposite of that. So you will find yourself in situations sometimes where the more you want to get things happen, and what about now? Can you hear me now? Anybody in the chat room? Hear me? We go again. Too low? Can't hear? How about now? Can you hear me? Is it higher? You know, we always got to take it's really sad. And this is much better now, right? Some people are saying much better. Some people are saying it's good. Like, what is it? A little better? Yeah. What's the general consensus? You know. But specifically speaking, we're at a situation time. We're at a situation the more you're trying to do your thing, and the more you strive to make your thing happen, the more it creates a situation where you are always trying to have the beck and call of how this reality works. You got your volume turned all the way up. Static is on the line. I don't know how. Starting it up. I don't know. Everybody's saying it's low though. Better, gone, better. Better. Okay, great. So as you can tell, like it's a situation where, you know, we're very striving to do things consistently, be consistent in doing what it is we're trying to do. However, I'm also at the stage in the game where it's like we've been doing this consistently for so long now, and with all the obstacles, not to say that everybody will have obstacles, but it seems that out of the general consensus that I've gotten about our show, specifically our show specifically, I'm talking about ours specifically, people are in situations where they come on. Sometimes they'll get knocked off the show. Sometimes the show will fade out, cut off, all these different things. These are all physical representations of the alchemical aspect of things that I've been talking about in terms of leaving things or striving to be consistent with things. And right? We're in a situation where more you are striving to give something in this world for yourself, for your people, the more you will have obstacles that come out of nowhere. Like I've had people tell me, it's like, yo, I want to send you something, help you with something. That's how to do that. Some other shit popped off, I just have to, deal with that. And again, I don't take it personally when it comes to, people who don't go through what we go through on the show to bring this information to you consistently for free for 3.5 years straight, in which I'm paying out of my own pocket for all of this to go down, for all of the aggravation, for all of these Blog Talk people lying, for all of the hackers that try to shut down our show and computer and all that other stuff, for all of the people who, for whatever reason, find problems with what it is we talk about and try to create campaigns and all this type of stuff. I'm just at a point, because I always do the extra point with everybody. It's real. I'm just letting you know I'm at a stage now as we're going to 2012 season that I'm tired. You know what I'm saying? Show you an example of what I'm talking about. Down here in Miami, there's a thing called Art Basel for specific reason or whatever this is. But I ran into a big luminary, so-called New Age, Caucasian version, I guess, but with this thing. So think about people like Maxwell, this is one of these guys. One of these dudes. And while I'm Bill, so he called me out because he know me, which is interesting. And in the process of that, he was telling me how much he enjoyed the show, how he listened, this and that, a lot of the stuff that we're on to the radio actually comes to pass, noticing how people, and again, this is a luminary in this thing. I'm not saying his name because I'm not trying to get props like that for doing it now. I was bugging in the sense that he is on some like a big fan and she said, Heru, but then he got his own wife on with up. But again, I'm speaking to this dude. He's telling me how much I inspire him and inspire him on the radio with all this stuff. And this dude is coming out of the drop SL, Ben's drop. You know what I'm saying? And then called me out. So now I'm looking at this dude, and I'm like, okay, this is dude, I don't see his face. I don't have to go with up. What you want with me? So I was telling him. So then he said, out of his own mouth, to basically put it out there and said, well, there's a lot of things that, translate that don't necessarily translate to their community, but they mention something like that it wouldn't necessarily translate all the way to Black America because a lot of them are suffering from the fact that they are coming to realize that their country is not what they ever thought it was. He said, and the more and more of them was waking up to that, the more and more getting alternative people like myself and other people began to do that. He said, what, based upon the fact that, again, we're still in that quote-unquote black or whatever you want to say, they have issues with giving bread to black people, specifically that's kicking the same shit, if not more real shit to them. Whereas black people who get a lot of the real shit kicked to them every week, they be on the opposite. It's like sometimes you almost have to, those of us that have been in contact for a while, sometimes you deal with certain people, and it's almost like they want you to convince them why they keep knowledge. Or they always, or whatever it is you provide as a service, they want to kind of keep it down. But then the minute they go to Subway or whatever else, whatever the fee is, they pay. But when it comes to us, it's a little different. So we spoke to the dude briefly and seeing how this thing played out. It was very interesting to me. And I started to think as to why it's such a thing with us that we're supposed to be all of the things that we're building on us. Why it's still so hard for us to collectively maintain something important who are actually doing work. Like when I was 9 to 5 grind, whatever, and I wasn't necessarily with it out there. I was with it number. I would support people by sending or even by showing up or doing whatever I could, because I knew that this person was out there doing a lot of this research in a sense for me. So while I'm out there busting my ass in the real world, jobs with whatever dealing with the devil, I know that there was a rich man, a rich woman out there doing knowledge that would bring it back to me, so that way I could facilitate. And this helps us all. The idea of patience in our society has become almost tribes or a minstrel type of thing. And it's almost like we are scared to promote ourselves in a specific agenda. Like, have you noticed that since this whole police brutality thing now, have you seen anything change in terms of that in your society, your neighborhood? No. Since the rash of all these baby kidnappings, has there been a referendum on? Has there ever been a national referendum on police brutality? Has there ever been a national referendum on the abduction of missing children and the CIA and the government's connection and human trafficking? Have we ever dealt with that? No. So those of us that are dealing with that, trying to find this information out, going hard, you have to understand that there's going to be there are going to be certain forces that don't want you to get that real understanding. And again, this dude told me. You know what I'm saying? So not only did I do the knowledge of these people, not only watching them, but they are basing, patterning everything that they're doing based upon what it is we're putting out there. Free. You understand? Now again, the people who have been listening and been holding it down for all these years doing it, you know that I've never been about. I've made my practice almost so affordable that I don't just make. I just make enough to pay for the damn class. So all of this stuff is coming out to me, but then I'm doing now. White people telling me now you got this one, Daniel Craig and one of the other people that Charlie Sheen and one of the other initiatives, and they funded him. He ain't got to work. He ain't got to do nothing but what it is doing, because they look at what he's doing as providing service to their people as white people. So how is it that our people are not doing the same thing? You know how many times I've had these classes and I've made it almost so too affordable almost, where it's almost like, I don't want to say it's a joke, but it's almost like people are not, I'm just tired of being in a situation of always having to not dumb me down, but shoot down the worth of what it is I'm doing. Because what I'm finding is that it's starting to complete, it's starting to become depleting. And I'm not blaming the people. I don't want to get misconstrued. I'm not trying to blame the people. However, I know that this thing that we are involved in has to be raised to a higher octave. And we're not going to be able to keep doing it. We're not going to be able to do it in the pattern that we've been doing it for the past maybe 20 years that the actual movement is in the way. In the present capacity that it's in, I'm telling you, it's not going to rise higher than this. So that means that we, those of us who are the free thinkers out there, have to start to think not only outside the box, but outside the borders that lock down the imagination of who and what we are. So in the process of that, we created a situation or society in which we have to functionally create the space for us to have something else. And we're not going to be able to do that in the present capacity the way we're going, because to me, and I don't know if it's like this to you, but a lot of it seems still very based on competition. And I'm not just talking about in the process of the community, I'm just talking about out here as black people, period. We are at a stage in our evolution or ascendancy when, as much as we're taking it serious, we are also not really giving the respect to a lot of the ones which put a lot of the work in. For instance, like there's no reason why Dr. Bush is doing what he's doing. No reason. You understand? This nigga been around Wesley Snipes, Bill Cosby, all these people. You know what I'm saying? This dude was a part of an order called the Ancient Astarian Order that took an oath to stay mad, stay angry until the original man was put back on the throne of the world. This was the oath that they took in that particular order, in that particular Astarian. And then because he was a Hebrew, you know what I'm saying, he got a couple of hookups in that too. You know? But again, you got to look at how things like it, why things that take place, where did that stuff go? Because at one time that was a part of you didn't have to, at one time you didn't have to go get a Pell Grant or a Rhodes Scholarship or some shit for the black, for other original people. People in the community will pull money together to put people in college, will pull money together to get people going and get people right. Remember when people had rent parties, potluck, all of that? Just to maintain, just to keep people in their homes and shit like that. We don't have that. You know why? Because the patronage system was replaced for the apprentice system. The Freemasonry apprentice system, in which you're coming up based upon somebody else's understanding of how it's going to work. You're coming up based on other. Coming up based upon another man's bread. And these things are cool, but that's not how we work our society. And if we keep talking about how, you know, we are a community and we're a village and things like that, it's somewhat illusionary. You understand? It's somewhat illusionary still. Now, again, this is not a diatribe or rant against the people who are not having this and not having that or not doing this. What it is a wake-up call. Really, I think for me, also, through the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Because at the same time that we're doing this, it's literally sometimes an uphill battle, man. And if somebody would have told me that when you are actually, you know, trying to do things for your people, I mean, you know, it's one thing to see, you know, see it play out on other people, but when you see it actually in your own life, you know what I'm saying? Where I'll be talking to somebody, not only do the phone be clicking, which shows that exactly what it sometimes the taps are so budget that the other people who listening and talking in on the line, they line actually come through. Like you actually hear these things. You know what I'm saying? That's how I know I ain't doing nothing wrong. You know? Because if it was really like that, you know what I mean, half the stuff would have been I done been in situations with this knowledge that I'm seeing that you are really just okay, so far just doing this. But this is what I did. All I do is research, you know what I'm saying, and help the people when I can with shit that actually works. I'm not just one of these people out here talking shit that I be helping, building with people who actually works. Okay? So it's very, I understand, it can be very frustrating when you see, you know what you're putting work in to do, but then at the same time, you see people who are not even doing half the work, man, half the research. And these niggas get cake. And, you know, it just gets to a point, it's like, it's not the people. I'm not talking about necessarily the people. I'm talking about the parameters. I'm talking about the parameters that it takes to maintain this thing and be consistent for you, for the people, like I said. And because, again, all of this is coming out of pocket, there's certain dreams and stuff that I've had that I would like to see fulfilled, you know. However, in the current state that we're in terms of just upkeep and what it is we're doing to stay consistent, I don't know how that's going to happen. So one thing about Mercury retrograde, especially Sagittarius placement, is that it's very good for self-reflection and pondering of one's initial intention to it. And as this period is moving and we're getting closer to this time, I just wanted to share that with everybody. The fact that, you know what I mean, this thing is not, it's more than just picking up the phone and talking to people. You know what I'm saying? It's a lot more that goes into it that I don't even want to necessarily keep boring you with it, but I have to express that because in doing this work and being who I am or who I'm striving to be in this, I want to keep it 100 with everybody. You know what I'm saying? Or as 100 as I can, and I'm letting you know, your boy is I'm getting tired, man, because I'm not tired of doing the work. It's just financially this thing is starting to compound on us. And because there is no planting for us in the sense that we have really, this is our job, work for y'all and that. So, yeah, but I'm not going to have that.
There's so many projects that are there, but without any springboard, without any launch of money, it's like, okay, our little $1,000 savings, thank God I'm sharing it. Okay, if we spend that on our books to get printed, then we have no back, we have no safety, no security net. God forbid 10 people don't sign up for class next month. God forbid that doesn't happen, then we're not making rent, and my little, $250. It basically, I'm asking on the love of my family and what we do, the people, not the organizers, not the people that put great flyers out and sponsor lectures and host events. I'm talking to the people and saying that I don't want to see my husband have to get another job. This is his job. But if I have a physical job and a parent and a job as a mother, I'm thinking, wow, in order for my husband to stay home and still research and do what it is that ancestors and that I feel the Creator has allowed him to do well. It's not like he's a charlatan in this, doing it really well and having skill to do this. It's a choice. And, I'm in a space where I'm like, okay, well, I may have to get another job and figure out a way to put my son somewhere so that he's not a constant. I don't want to put my son in school. That's not an option for me. So I'm really here now in the presence of just asking for $10 from each listener. I got a report last week, and I never look. I swear, I always look at the people in the chat room. Oh, nice full chat room, whatever. But I didn't know that there's another stream of where you can find out how many people listen to your show. Like 6,000 people, 7,000 people that listen every Monday. And we have $890 in our savings account and $42. Okay, well, that's what we have. And we are wealthy. We are magnanimous in our wealth. We will have more. There will be a contribution. The people do believe in us. There aren't just white folks that will pay our rent. There aren't just people that are Caucasian that value this type of information, even though they set up little schools and little massage awareness and little body awareness. They do things so organized because they respect and value the information that they collect. But I know that we do the same. You guys have said we love the work that Aseer puts out. If it wasn't for him, what is? And there's a part of me that's like, there's got to be, if there's 6,000 people listening, there's got to be a way that we can, without having to go through what rigmarole and pimping ourselves. And it's like, I really implore the people to go into their checkbook and spend $10 to $20 a week on listening and helping a family out that really putting forth knowledge and a battery that I know is charging a lot of other things. So, I've also, Aseer's like, I don't want to not do what I do. I enjoy speaking. I enjoy disseminating. But, I might just become internal into something else because I can't keep giving and having nothing to receive. And it's not a lot. It's $1,500 to print this book. That's all. We need another 500 to do. And, God forbid a tooth chip, God forbid we have, and we don't have a car. It's not like we're flossing them. So we love what we do, and we're not switching it up. And I do know that in sharing with the people our reality of having more that we can share, more great knowledge, entertainment, and lunchboxes, comfort books, characters, figurines, that they're sitting here every night before in the morning making clay models of all of his characters so that they can be sculptors. It's beautiful seeing it, but I don't want to see all of this work just sit underneath us and become masturbatory because we don't have a launch. There are no grandparents. There are no benefactors. What little thousands I had, we all went through things. 9/11 was a big fuckery. But I really implore and ask God to answer here how much every day of the lighting candles, smiling and giving and offering and massaging and helping and reading and studying and believing and knowing and praying and affirming and ashaying and saying there will be a day that a little can be given to those that are really hard working here, and with that hard work we will be able to soar and be able to travel for free to cities around the world. But my husband wants the phone. I say good night and love to all. Ashe.
No, it is true. I was watching like, what it is with the ghetto. So the thing with the ghetto is everything in the ghetto is there. All the same things you have in any other suburban or rich, affluent, you'll have a hierarchy. You'll have people who are really about it, people who aren't, whatever. But the only difference, people in the ghetto dream and aspire big. It's not big as anybody else. It's not, whatever type of ghetto, whether it's Brownsville, Calcutta, Soweto, wherever it is. The ghetto mentality is a certain degree of go get it. It produces a certain go get it mentality. I got that thought for what? But the problem is that there's no money. There's no currency to pop it off. You know what I'm saying? So you have all of these dreams, all of these aspirations, all of these goals, you have no money to pop. And then to get the money, there's a party that has to, in a sense, conform who and what you are. Like I said, there's no law in the United States to say that if you get a job, you got to touch some hair. So then why black people be telling me that shit all the time? I mean, people say lots of people say, oh yeah, I used to have touch some job. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. You cut them because that's how you felt you could keep the job, and that's fine. Don't act like these white people force you to do that. They ain't going to do that. Because if they tell you to do that, you got a lawsuit. That's one thing white people they don't like going to court, especially if it's discrimination. It's the racism thing. They've got it so locked up now where most of the racism shit you hear and talk about is really, they try to put it on black people. Remember a couple months ago, they tried to make it like police bad, and the Black Panthers and them were going to sit in there, poison all of that piece, because they wouldn't let white people into the vote polls, which is just a reaction to what they used to do to us when we used to try to vote and all of that. But in my opinion, a lot of this is based upon the school busing system. The busing system has created a almost fast food contention when it comes to learning and studying for children, because most of the children that are being bused are going to be bused out of certain areas that are so-called low income, but in that it's creating a migratory mind pattern in the form of a child that basically says that this community is not good enough for me, so I have to be bused out, right? Or affluent rich people who don't even want me. And what this does, discourages. It creates an apathetic venue within you that makes you feel like that every time you take a step up, you get knocked back 2 steps, and then you turn it around, you got all of these mind control, crazy, metaphysical people telling you, oh, well, if you're not projecting positive things, that's not going to come back to you positive. You get what you see, and you you're responsible. You and you alone are only responsible for your happiness. That if you, as a conscious or metaphysical person, live in a damn bubble, everybody is interrelated in some form or fashion. Everybody has something to contribute to this. Therefore, everybody should have the ability to put out victory and put out the things and have the vehicle to do that. But because I don't want to do it by going to one of these white establishments that then takes your history, your culture, all the shit I'm talking about. Think about that. All of the shit that we talk about for past 3 and some odd years. Can you imagine me going to see comics, the Marvel comics, and hey, I got this book on this now. That's what they want, and that's how I feel a lot of the pseudo subtextual, non-tangible or intangible energy trying to prompt me to do that. But for some reason, I keep running into all these other so-called people who I knew sometimes when I used to work at places like that. And it's like, oh, you got the project, I can help you get a deal with it, I can help you do it, but I don't want to do that. I want to keep the thing as pristine for you as possible. So that way, unlike E-Man or Thundercats or any other shit that we grew up with, that eventually got co-opted and got turned into some sort of corporate selling agency. I want to be able to have something so that way, the same way your created industrial life and magic and all that other stuff, the same way I can do that. And this way, you can employ everybody. But to do that, you got to have bread. And like I said, for those of us who come from, again, the ghetto, or the ghetto mentality, you just don't mean that you can't get bread if you come from the ghetto. It just means that, number one, it's not about talent. Don't ever let anybody tell you that. Don't ever let anybody tell you because of talent. That. You know how many talented millionaires? You know how many talented people are millionaires? Huh? You know how many people who have nothing to contribute? You know how many people are out here making millions of dollars, giving people what they know is false information, false, telling you that you got it. You got to do the knowledge, man. This is the only place. We are the only people telling you that you can do all this shit by yourself. But when I say by yourself, I don't literally mean alone. I mean by yourself in the sense that you have within you the kingdom of the Creator to manifest that in this world. However, everybody, we together collectively make up the body of Christ. So therefore, we're all technically in the same mental. So we're striving to ascend on a certain level that we have to help each other. The people know, man, I've never been money hungry and all that because I came up the same way you did it. I came up around niggas that was acting like they was down, was acting like they was cool, and they had the real knowledge of how to do it until I got involved in something and had to represent myself. None of these people was around. You understand? None of these people that's making all these tapes and all this other types of shit wasn't even around at that time. So I know what it's like to come up in this game and have all of this plethora of all of this knowledge, but no direct through line as to how to access it that in a way that will make it conducive for you as an individual. Everybody else is telling you, join this group, join that group, put this in, put that in, cut this chicken, eat this thing, have sex with this man, have sex with this woman. Like this is what they have reduced the shit to, man. We cannot keep it on this level anymore. So this is why I'm feeling, in a sense, kind of weighed down as closer to this thing, because if we don't figure out what the hell we're trying to do now, you got to understand these people, based on their clock, they have already associated this thing with 2012. They have already agreed. They've already agreed that this is going to be the end of their thing, so they can reorganize everything to something else. So, as opposed to worrying about how the New World Order is going to get you, how are you going to order your New World? How are you going to reorganize your Constitution? How are you going to reclaim that which was taken from you? What out there in the world is a physical representation that you could look at other than what you produce yourself and say, that is something that represents me as a vision. How is it that we don't have one museum, one direct library, one artifice that is strictly ours. How is it we don't have that? How is it that 90% of our annual income goes out of your community? How can that happen? If you tell me that we're progressive, that we're all moving up, that things are getting better, how can that be? If we constitute 43, it says 43 to 45% of the national spending power in this country, yet still in our community is 35%. Where does money coming from? How is it that we're spending, if not more, than other ethnic groups who are supposed to be the minority, but then at the same time, we don't have no jobs? How could you not have a job and not have money, but then spend all the money at the same time? Somebody tell me that. Shit is getting real. It's getting so real that the crown of England is cutting Queen Elizabeth's annual stipend by 70%. You heard what I'm saying? They cutting the Queen's money off. Why? Because most of the money that the Queen was getting was coming through the Social Security system from over here. But I told you 2 weeks ago, almost a month ago now, they sent some barristers over from the Temple Bar of England to come over here and tell the United States people that the United States is technically still under the Queen and they got to keep sending her money. That's why this dude had to create the quote-unquote super committee, because based upon the old agreements going back to the Articles of Capitulation at Cornwallis, at the time that George Washington, the general, was taking the surrender of General Cornwallis. If the United States won the war, why did the United States agree to pay them $800 million back in gold? And that is the instance that they're using. So technically, the United States could not use the federal United States could not use any of its federal money, because all of those federal monies were connected to the initial debt that they agreed to pay. So because they didn't pay, or they have to pay in a certain installment section, the Crown started taking exactions out of the Social Security, which then went directly up to Queen Elizabeth's account. How can you verify this? Go to Lloyd's Bank in London, Google Lloyd's Bank in London, or Google Royal Stipend. Yeah, that's why she can't access her money no more. It's a wrap. Because it created a super committee to try to give her the money, but because that's unconstitutional, whatever they create as a means to pay for shit, then they can't implement it because he circumvented Congress to do that. It's illegal. But again, most people don't know how the law works. They don't care. But if they cut in the Queen money, you understand? What you think they're going to do to everybody else? Another elder in our community, a long time ago when I first started, he told me, this is somebody who gave almost 2 G's a lecture. This man told me, he's like, nah, man. He said, black people ain't going to, the black people that support you are the ones who do. But most of them just want to hear what you say for free. They ain't going to do that. And then if you try to speak up about it, they're going to try to make you money. And I didn't believe in that first place until it happened to me. So I always said I'm going to keep my shit as affordable as possible, but it's to the point now where it's getting too much. So again, I'm saying we need help. And because we think the system is creating relationships with you for 3.5 months, and showing you what you know that it's working. I don't want to have to do that. I want to be in a situation where come out with something that starts to destroy people from the community, so y'all don't have to go and work for these niggas. It's like if you're not a rapper, or you're not a stripper, or you're not a athlete, you locked in. We didn't create that. That was something that was orchestrated for us to walk into, and we did. So we want money. But then once you get in with them people, you can't be a part of your community. All them people got to count. All them people got to destroy. You tell them where they can go and where they can't go. I met one. They call them media people. So we spend so much time in our youth, in our young adulthood, just scraping get up out of the ghetto. First, but when I say that first, it's first about getting out of the ghetto mentality. Don't let anybody tell you that you got to stay true to the ghetto or true to the hood. Like, the whole purpose of it is to rise up out of it. No seed to stay in dirt. Either it's going to bloom into a flower or whatever the seed is, or it's going to be inert and not do nothing. It stayed up by the dirt itself. Anything that does not have a purpose here is functionally useless, therefore it does not exist. So case in point, like I said, if they're shutting down Elizabeth, that's why it's noted whenever they talk about the royal family now, they always talking about how she's repurposing clothes. Talking about Kate Middleton, she's repurposing everything. Meaning that she wears hand-me-downs and cheap clothes and shit because the niggas trying to scramble pennies. They don't have no bread like that. But this is Diana's invention. Diana and Dope. D&D, which is 4, which is divide and destroy. Which is also culture freedom, which means that their culture now is being exacted on. Even them. The whole purpose of that whole wedding was to reach the body. So case in point in that Europe, the European Union, gold credit rating is being downgraded, the same way the U.S. was. But this was an attack by U.S. financiers against the European market as a means to keep the dollar at a certain value and depreciate the euro. This is why they killed Saddam Hussein, because he was taking the money that they were giving him, flipping it in euros, and then buying gold and hiding it in the Netherlands. Got rid of him because of that. Same thing with Gaddafi. He's going around, he's supporting Africans and creating their own central banks, nationalize that, and putting up a certain amount of gold for them to get. Got to go. Same thing with Pakistan. They start talking about how they're trying to break away from the United States based on all the illegal stories and the missions that they're running up in there. Next thing you know, they create the whole Osama bin Laden thing. Oh, we found him in Pakistan. Now it gives us a right now to be in your country to hold it against y'all to say that y'all was harboring. When he been dead since 2000, that's what they shot Premier Bhutto for, because she went on TV talking about that. Yet still, mainstream Anglo media is not promoting none of this. So what is going to happen? Germany, the Germans, the Nazis, right? I'm not saying that all Germans are Germany is Nazis, but the parliament, you got remnants of them left up in there still. Not only in Germany, though, but in France, in Spain, in Italy, Greece, in America, Brazil, Argentina, Bolivia, and all this. And we wonder why these genocidal practices all started occurring around the turn of the century, right after World War II, when all of these people got kicked out, when all of these people got turned out and brought into all these different governments. Then all these different governments started to be a part of the United Nations, which then created the de facto aspect of the nation and put all of them in debt. So as the United States credit rating report was downgraded, now the European Union is about to be downgraded to a minus, to a AAA minus. This is huge for these people. Gotcha. Huge for them. Because they base all of everything they're doing on theory and hypothesis, not science. and they tell you that they deal with science, they lying, because they tell you the basis of science is what? The theory of relativity. The theory. It's always a theory with that. But they extrapolate the theory and put it into common place to create a mental capacity for the people to ponder on it, give energy to it, give mental thoughts, and it then helps them make certain breakaways, because it then spills over to the mind pattern. And then they get ideas about how to maybe make the shit work that they wouldn't have if they didn't make it pseudo-public in the form of a movie or in the form of this. Why do you think they have questionnaires and all of that shit when you go to movies and comedy clubs and certain events? They'll have a whole questionnaire there. How did you like the show? Did you like this? Did you like that? What? Because they're creating a profile for it as another means of control, man. The last, blessed the dead, one of the last members of one of the oldest of the tribe that goes back 65,000 years, died, taking the last of the Bo language. These are people who are descending back now, all the way to around the time of the Grimaldi and all of that. You understand? Black people, with blonde, indigenous. And now she's gone the same way around Thomas Jefferson when he was locked in. He hooked up with one of the last mash empresses and was able to get a working, decipherable translation of Braille. And it's again, this is major news. I was looking for it on the news all day. I haven't seen nothing about it because that's not something that they want to do to Congress. That's something that they're going to try to apply to them. Because we have no institute that just deals specifically with our history as a people, as an indigenous collective family trust. We don't have that. So, in order for us to make this something viable for our children, for our people in the future, we have to start to do something to elevate this thing now. So what I want to contribute is what I can contribute: the art, the intellect, the historical aspect. How this thing got this way? What you may contribute is this. But if I can get into the point based upon the fact that I'm almost a conduit for everybody else, or if it's so the conduit for everybody else, if we all get to the point where we get financially or equitably straight, then we can actually do something. That doesn't require every black person in the world, but every black person in the world can benefit. Because it's more than just everybody's going to benefit if we get our shit together. That's why everybody's so mad. That's why everybody's hating on us now, because we haven't, as a collective, as original people, everybody is planning ways for us to get our shit together, but specifically the ones here, us here. Hip-hop wasn't created in Africa. Hip-hop wasn't created in Jamaica. It may have groups. It may have different eclectic groups manifested from the different drum patterns and certain cadences, but the actual art of hip-hop that we do is now developed here with us, with the four original black and Hispanic kids from the ghetto. When white folk was bagging me up, police bagging me up, cutting up my linoleum, cutting up my cardboard, locking niggas up for doing graffiti pieces and everything else. So, okay, everybody, they all in it now, that's cool. But let's not forget the origin, okay? Let's not throw the baby out with the bathwater. Let's not make it so or that when we stand up and say, no, we created the shit, it's a problem. Or there's something wrong with that. How come there's always something wrong with you claim the shit that you have or that you create and your people? Why is that such a problem? Why is the mantra that black people don't support each other? Why is that the mantra? Who does that benefit? through, then violated the War Powers Act, traded with the Enemy Act, all of this stuff. Their laws, not ours, theirs. To the point he put 1 million troops on red alert talking about they need to start prepare. They need to prepare for the event of civil war. Is that why they've been comparing him to Lincoln so much? Is that why they had the symbolic ritual of the fake assassination attempt where the guy from the South is shooting him through the South window? But the guy who shot at him was a part of the drug cartel that was receiving guns from his man Holder and then through the Fast and Furious operation, which also happens to be a movie. You understand what I'm saying? It's not reality. That's not how reality is supposed to function. That's an intelligence operation. But when I say intelligence, I'm not talking about smart. I'm talking about the manipulation of energy in a clandestine fashion to undermine the soul of humanity. You got a black boy from college who fought for the right to fly, to have the Confederate flag in his dorm room next to his bed. How many rappers and black people in Atlanta and all that strive for years to get the fake battle flag off? And now I know the Moorish side of it. I know the Moorish history of this really is simple of a virus and it's really ours and all that, no doubt. I got the knowledge on that. But to the mainstream people, they still looking at that as old glory, as the rebel flag of the Confederacy that these guys are still a part of. The Confederacy of white quote-unquote supremacy. Going all the way back to the Knights of Pythias or the Knights of the Golden Circle, before them. Back to who? Albert Pike. Nobody agrees who has been born after 1860. Nobody who is a Scottish right or Shrine. Nobody has got their right based on that aspect. And then after him, they did it again with Crowley. Nobody got their right stuff. Because it's still coming, again, from a Western perspective. And the Western perspective was drastically different from the Eastern, which is why one supplanted the other. So they use the power of the Eastern in secret, and then, it's the opposite. So, yeah, this dude done ordered 1 million troops to stand ready, just in case he got to deploy them in the event of a civil war. This is all going through Northcom, which is also strategic command. What is going on also is that from Katrina was used as an operation to put paramilitary contracting companies in play to who were deputized and given permission to shoot and kill American citizens. Notice I say American citizens, because an American citizen is more according to H.R. 75, which was adopted in May, which is a document that verifies the fact that you have the right to use all of the L and the Bay and all of the connotation that goes with those. That has never been rescinded and that still exists, but for some reason people downplay its importance. In any event, though, they created this operation in which now these deputized contracted military mercenary people who are already being employed by mercenary services and foreign wars are now given domestic jurisdiction to act as the military, contracted military force to give relief to the so-called United States military. So while the United States military is out fighting over foreign wars, they want to have foreign soldiers already over here locking you down. The same way your soldiers or whatever is over there doing it to somebody else. So in every country, it'll be the same thing. You'll have the country being occupied by these soldiers while the country's own protection is somewhere else fighting another one. So it's like musical chairs, only thing with wars and so. So essentially, what we're really talking about then is the total reorganization of American military jurisdiction in the form of a non-Congress, non-publicly funded, non-totally privatized form of military jurisdiction. So what this would mean would be that all the United States forces would basically all fall under NSA, and the NSA would then pick and choose what conflicts within what urban areas or whatever would be delegated for outsource or privatization of whatever war. So we're talking about private wars now, privatization of war. Where if you got enough money, you can keep a certain war going in a certain place against a certain group of people. And because these people are not under the jurisdiction of the United States, even though they may be individual United States citizens, it's the national force. The guy who created this was a guy named Eric Prince, who was hauled before Congress for all of the maimings and the killings and the raping that black women people and the other paramilitary organizations like True National, National Star, that are all it's madness. Big football teams of mercenaries. You know what I mean? Think of like mercenaries was organized like football teams. This is the plight. This is where they're moving things towards that. And your man is the one that's trying to really strive to make that happen. So, like I said, you got black people fighting for the right to fly Confederate flags. Taking it out of control. And unfortunately, none of the so-called establishments, they still want to keep it going. They still are acting like they can make it work. They're still acting like they can make it work in the present system that it's in. So exactly how it is right now is how they are acting like they want to keep it. How can they do that? Not only is it not morally feasible, economically it's impossible. It would be impossible to keep running the wars the way that they're running it now. They can't. So this is where nuclear exchange becomes an added means of security, because now you can kind of get rid of wars kind of like all at once. The nuke they dropped at 9/11 that's causing the radiation sickness and all of that stuff. They're not saying that that's what it is, but that's what it is. So that means that they have the ability to have low-yield nuclear weapons, mini nukes, dirty bombs or whatever, to blow up wherever they want. And in the process of that, blame that on whoever they want. All in the name of what? National security? What is that? If you're the nation, you're not even from here. Yeah, so they have the right to kill and do whatever they want to do to everybody. Because black people, white people, but specifically white people who are married to these people, having these people's babies, right? Spending these people's money, getting broke off with all of that, who are in positions to do shit. I'm not saying that black people ain't, but the modern perception is white man run shit. Black man, what white man say, right? In every movie, the black man die first, right? Or if he's in the movie, he's gay, or he's a cop, or he's dressed as a woman, right? So again, am I crazy for noticing all of this shit, or is it crazy that all of this shit is going on to be noticed? So again, when I say black Nazis, this is what I'm talking about. Because even if he don't know the real history of the Confederate flag and all that, he don't know how Pike and took it. Jefferson Davis adopted it from the Moors lands that they see. He don't know all of that. He don't know that the X is the symbol of Osiris. He don't know that. So to the modern perception, it's what? They go another black man. They go another black man, you know, fighting for white supremacy. I know white supremacy don't exist. You know that. But that don't mean that your daughter fully understands it the way you do, or your son fully understands it as you do. And they are susceptible when they go to be around these low-brow people who really have no care about their children or what their children internalize and whatever. They don't care. You know, white folks who I know a white person around here who done train their dog not to like black people. I've seen it. I've seen the dog be out here. We'll walk past the dog start barking. Mad Caucasian people, lighter-skinned people walk by. Another dark-skinned person walk by this dog start barking. Dog can't be racist. Dog got to be taught to know the difference between stuff. Ain't no black person doing that. Niggas don't train pit bulls to eat cops, to kill cops and shit. Niggas don't do that. We got to get out of the prey role in this whole predator-prey relationship. And the only way we can do that is to upgrade our position based on the consciousness we got now. But that means we got to create derivatives to, I'm not using that word. We have to create alternative means of income in which you can take out of the fiction what you need and put back in what you need. In the Matrix, they were coming and going out of the Matrix. They didn't have people that were just strictly just not in the Matrix. You know what I'm saying? Through the knowledge. The people who was born in Zion who never had no interface with it like that, that's one thing. They free born in the reality. But those people who came from the time before, which would represent people, us now, we're the ones who have the bipolar or bilateral interface. Being able to go into the matrix, come out of it. The straw man. That's what it is. That's the plug in and out of it. But once you know that that's what it is, then it does not have the control that it had over you before. So therefore, they cannot try to punish you or prosecute you as if you are it, like everybody else, because you know that that's not the case, that it only exists as a conduit for them to justify their existence, because they don't exist. There's no such thing as a white man. There's no such thing as an African. There's no such thing as any of these things that we are calling ourselves. These things did not exist. If they didn't exist 2 million years ago, then they didn't exist. You know what an apple is today? An apple. You know what an orange is today? An orange. You know what a horse is today? A horse. That's it. Whatever you call it, whether it's in Spanish or whatever it is, it's still a horse. Human beings are the only ones who will literally try to act like they were not the people that they were at one point. And those are the ones you got to watch out more for, even more than the ones that is evil by nature. Because the ones that like to act like they was never really on certain shit or promoting an idea now that they have the right to judge you, even though when you hear about the merits of their character, you can see, obviously, this is not it. Think about all the people you know in the consciousness community. If you weren't conscious, if you weren't understanding the same understanding or coming into a certain degree of sphere of knowledge that they had, would a lot of these people, would you even entertain a lot of them? Think about your community. Think about your family. Think about niggas in your family. If they weren't your family, would you be messing with them like that? No. Think about all the grimy people in your family. Think about all the grimy people that you don't come across with or you don't come across in your life or whatever. Did you have to meet those people? No. To know that they was bad news or to know what bad news is? Did you have to have the experience? the extra hard experience to know? Or can you be so discerning that once you see or what it is, you forgive, but don't forget, but you are also able to sever, keep it moving. But see, we've been trained to gloat, you know, and vendetta and revenge and all that shit, all that old shit that we inherited from the East Coast side of our bloodline. All that let's duel and all of that. We're not in the Iron Age anymore. We're not in the Bronze Age. Have you ever noticed how they identify those two ages with certain metals, but they never say like there was a gold age or a silver age, or except like a comic book, but historically. Another thing, watch out for cereals that say that they are iron fortified with iron. Stay away from cereals like that. So they got literal metal iron shards that can be attracted by magnets. So it's up to the white man up there making the cornflake move in milk with a magnet. So ain't this a bitch? So again, they giving it to you, say, yeah, this is full of iron. Yeah, but you thinking an iron supplement. No, they putting iron shards in your cereal that they give it to your kids, and then you wonder why kids are ending up with high blood pressure and lead poisoning and blood poisoning issues. Because you're feeding this to them every day. On YouTube. So yeah, stay away from that. Anything with iron in it that they sell into you, that's a food. You need to have a magnet. You need to have a magnet on you anyway, with a medium or high ground level, meaning how magnetized it can be. You need to walk around with that in. And with anything that you find with food in it that says magnet or whatever, put the magnet on and see if any of the food attracts to it. If it do, you already know the deal. Probably happen more than you think. So imagine what else. And this is what I'm trying to say. Everything in this reality, especially that's being functioned by this government, the government that's been propped since 1791, is orchestrated to get you to a point of death and exploit that. So the purpose of government is to become God over man. Therefore, government has to decide who lives and who dies. That's why the death penalty is fucked up, even if it's warranted. If anything, the penalty should be that the parents hand over whatever judgment. If they decide they're going to kill the dude, let the dude or whoever the parent or whoever was close to the person administer the shit. That's how the Moors used to do it. Let him push the button. Give him some sort of satisfaction. Don't take it all out of the arms of the victim, because this is what creates victim mentality. Because why victims are scared to come forward, because this country attacks victims. This country has created this academia, Caucasian, Anglo academia. Caucasian people writing these things have came up with something called the false memory society. They created a diagnosis of a fake illness called false memories, where they know to cover up governmental mind control and mind wiping and brainwashing and action. So that way when people have the consistent view of the things that have happened to them and they speak in authoritative voices, these people can come and say, oh, well, these psychiatrists basically say, oh, well, these children basically made this up because they were somehow envious of the person who they're giving this alleged rape charge to. You understand? There's not enough of us that have our own that can be able to stand on their own. You can say what you want about these white militias and all of that, but these niggas are going in to the point where they reorganize their shit to become the Tea Party, to become a part of the same establishment that they really don't even understand how it really works. That's why the white people call them crazy, because they going in there with the knowledge they hearing from us every week, from these white patriots. That's the Tea Party movement. So imagine the consciousness movement as a political party. That's what the Tea Party movement is. A bunch of white militia patriots and all of that. Alex Jones, people grew up listening to Will Cooper and the rest of them. Good old boys who don't want to work with Israel, who don't want to work with any of that. They just want to be white men and do they. So they have war with them too. But they all in the same family. That's what I'm trying to say. Like it's like we acting like all this is different, and all of these people is in collusion with one another. Since the beginning of 2011, they've discovered over 770 new planets within 2 light years of our position. Where all these planets came from? Planets with moons. The latest one being Kepler 22. They call it Kepler based on the Kepler telescope that they fired up. It's Mad Earth. They got a movie again called Melancholia. There's another one called Another Earth. Yeah, Another Earth. There's another one coming out with that too. Same person. So when we was coming up, it was about outer space and all of that. Now they're basically telling you that outer space equates different dimensions. So when you was in school growing up, you thought the galaxy and the universe and a frequency and an octave and all these things were different when they're all the same thing. But if that's the case and they all essentially the same thing, how come each one got a different definition? What are these words used for? What do they do? What do they bring into existence based upon the thought that goes with the action of creating the word, the ruach, which is the breath? How can we use that to our advantage? If we are, again, the archetype, then that means that essentially all of these stories are really about us. But when I say us, I'm talking about us as pristine man and woman in a pristine state. Which means a state in which we have not downgraded or fallen. So Christianity teaches you that Lucifer fell, and at the falling of it then manifested in the form of sin. But in ancient times, the word sin meant moon. So when it said that you are born in sin, it's saying that you are a child of the moon. So a moon child, then, is a child that is born of the moon that has a Luciferian influence, which is what most of these kids in the Hollywood and all that shit is anyway. Which some of us are. Keep it really funky. Some of us are products of moonchild rituals. And we just understand it now. It's not your fault. That don't mean that you're evil. That don't mean that the devil rules your life. It don't mean none of that. It don't mean that you then got to go and pay somebody $20,000 to get some type of spirit or some shit off you. It don't mean that. It means, what are you going to do now? Now that you know, how are you going to proceed? Now that you know this person is exploiting you, how are you going to proceed? Now that you know this person doesn't have your best interest in mind, how do you proceed? Now that you know that this government is ultimately, fundamentally, ritualistically corrupt, every element of it, every element of the United States government is corrupt. You understand? This doesn't mean that everybody that's in the United States government is corrupt. No. But it is to say that the institution, once corrupted, corrupts all. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. Once you tell somebody they don't have to do something that they done made everybody think they got to do, they automatically go into a hierarchy position. That's just how it is. So the cop will give you a ticket, but he won't give a ticket to his friend. So therefore, the cop is a ticket. So therefore, by moral, if we were getting a job by morals, he would have to be fired. This is why the white man then says, well, let's create a society of robots and then give the role of robots the ability to do everything, since we can't trust each other. Then what happens when you can't trust the robots? Okay, let's give it to the aliens. Maybe the aliens do it. You can't trust the aliens. Okay, let's give it to the pigmen or whatever other clone we created or whatever. Like, it's always going to be something else because nobody has created a boundary, a limitation for this situation. The older I get, the more I understand sovereignty is more about restraint than it is just doing what you want to do. That's freedom. Freedom is doing what you want to do, never having to say sorry to somebody. That's freedom. Sovereignty is responsibility. Because when you deal with sovereignty, you're dealing with long term. You're dealing with the long count. So that means that what you're doing, that you know, there's certain things that you can do, that you should do, can do, but probably sometimes can't do, even though you may want to, based on the situation, because it may jeopardize the outcome of what it is you're moving toward, whereas the person in the moment is totally free, but yet uninterested in the outcome. So a sovereign, again, or a king, or someone of that nature, or a lord, or an emperor, or whatever title, or bey, or L, or whatever, is somebody that really is here to understand how to overstand. And once you become the master, know how to be humble enough to serve. The constant ebb and flow. On the outcome, you got to look at what's going on in Iran, because they do anything. They said that they're going to attack. So the first strike is probably that would go down would happen somewhere happen. Coincidentally, there's a thing also about the child labor laws that's being caught up with a lot of the American jewelers now. It may be on the verge of a vast international exposing of child slavery in Mali, where a lot of the gold, like you notice, and again I use rappers sometimes because that dominates youth culture, and because it's being used as a military thing, it's a good vehicle to show how the agenda is being marketed to the people, how they use us as off type. So, with the gold, they had a special a while ago where they got Raekwon and a bunch of rappers together, took them to Africa and showed them where they were exploiting people, children with the child gold slavery shit. So in the process of that, seeing the effects, like with Raekwon and how it really affected him and stuff. But the funny thing is, they ain't do that. Why do that to them? Why is it that rappers, because what, we wear the big gold things, but Elizabeth Taylor and these people be wearing diamonds and gold and platinum and all that. They never had no special where they brought Avril Lavigne or one of these, or Lady Gaga to, where they get more of the fake fur or other stuff from. Something like that. So then recently I started seeing those rappers start wearing gold again. So as I've seen the gold on the update, I'm like, where they get all this gold from? So then Interpol put out this whole thing about how certain people have all these children in Mali specifically mining all of this gold and the conditions that they put in it. Just like I said, those Indian people that got building all the buildings in Dubai, places like that. The same thing right now. Because it's the same governmental thing. The idea is to keep the world off of gold and silver as a basic commodity as opposed to using payment. Digital against analog. It's credit against debt. They want to keep the credit system established into the so-called New World and use it as a means to unify everyone in the Babylonian mystery system of financial services, and then essentially run the planet like a corporation, and then use the resources of that to not only extend their lives, but then to take them into some sort of galactic federation that they can be recognized as like the overlords of Earth. You know, but they don't even really know how their brain works. You know, they don't even really know. They don't know a lot. Neither do we. Yet, what we know about ourselves is more than they could ever know about us. So we have to be the ones, our generation has to be the one, which is really a multi-generation grid, because each one of us represents us wherever you are. Which is why we often talk about the experiences that happen that seem so similar with us. So essentially we're talking about the reunification of ourselves by understanding what we are to ourselves. And then we can be more comfortable with each other. But to do that, we have to have things in physical representation that manifest that. Like, ain't nobody was talking about they closed down the Schomburg or trying to close down the Schomburg. Ain't nobody going in on them with that. You know? One of the only places, and they have places out here like the African Research Library, you know, but all of those things on the upward boards, the funding, all of that is again coming from other communities. It's not being funded by us at the top. Therefore, whatever's in there got to be shared with what's going on. So again, we gotta stop having things, our situations in places where we, you know, gotta leave when, you know, it's time for them to close up. You gotta start doing things like when you live in an area, metropolitan area that has some sort of museum or whatever, and they have what they call membership drives and all of that. Get on the board with those things. Pledge $100. Pledge $200. Got it. So that way, when you get the invitation and then you go to the party and you see how these people are, you get basically our eyes to get with. You should have then had a national Moorish or fusion museum or whatever that was funded by us or whatever. But we can't do that if you're all going to work every day. All these other rappers is spending money on how to get money from you that you don't have. They providing what for you? PAL type clubs, college fund, and what? And like hair salon, liquor, sneakers, clothes, t-shirts, which get your money. I'm not saying that that's not cool, but at the end, the very top, they still got to kick money back So they're never going to make the money that the people who gave them the checks to do this represent. They never going. And then that also means that there's only for certain things that they can be a part of when it comes to the real community, which is us. People big enough, people who come out, but when we come out of the community, it's like we literally come out. You know what I'm saying? So if you don't want to be a rapper, whoever, if you don't want to wear jackets and stuff like that, then it's like, what you going to do? You got to do something to get noticed. So these guys have created a system where you can income. So when we out here talking about stuff like integrity and what we want our kids to be a part of and not be a part of, we look, it's like, yeah, whatever, but that's not getting no money. So somebody got to bust through and something got to happen to galvanize it all to show, hey, you can get this without selling out. You can get all of that and be successful and have a community, some shit for your people, and nobody say about it. Especially if you just doing it in love and just doing it for the fact that it needs to be done. So that way we all can go and see representations of ourselves. We can have a museum in every sect of metaphysical consciousness can have their own floor and own exhibit. And they be responsible for that. So if the downturn and there's nothing new and there's nothing productive coming out of that, then that means that aspect of our consciousness has to be either fused into something else or is agreed that it has become obsolete to us as a whole. And there's nothing, and I don't see anything wrong with that. Yet, to do that, it has to start. So, that's where it's at. So in times of retrograde, it's really good for correction. So in that, for instance, they changed the name of the Department of Prison to the Department of Correction during a retrograde royal court. Because Department of Prison in New York, it came off very arbitrary and very ominous. So the corrections will be better, but the purpose of incarceration was at one time rehabilitation, and the majority of prisoners were of Anglo descent. After the chain gang system, after the, let's say, the civil rights era into the 60s, 70s, and then 80s, when it was specifically, when black males specifically were targeted on a national level, because it was only like, because black people in the North have problems with police and all of that. However, in the South, it was on some other seats. So by the time after civil rights happened, when all of these millions of blacks was out, it was a need for white America. There was a need for white America to exert some sort of control. And so the prison system was then sold and started to get on the road to what it is now, which is a privatized corporation. So, in the process of all of this, these corruptions have become accepted. And so the more depraved the society is becoming, the more people are accepting it the way that it is. Therefore, the more they would do push the envelope to see how much they can get away with. To get the rash of all of these states, kidnapping, and all these wild molestation situations, because the thing is sad, which is the upper and lower nature coming together, and we're also on the verge of going into their slated end of the world year, which we is just psychological application for something that they really still don't understand, yet are manipulating through perception. So, get it, pause it.
Hello?
Peace. Hey, Queen.
Peace. I just wanted to say, because I believe in you all, I know you all are good and righteous and truthful people, and I just want to say to all of us, it's like coming to their table twice a week and then feeding us, and we never bring a gift. So I am asking, and that includes me, especially in December. I don't know how much people have. I know people are going through things, but a little bit becomes a whole lot. And if you're saying 6,000 people were listening, if they gave $10 in December, hopefully within the two weeks, that'll be enough to help with your project. And I'm asking the people to help, and I definitely will. I mean, it's time. The fantasy, that needs to be over. Okay, we had our time of fantasy, discovering who we are. Okay, now let's stand in who we are.
Yes.
And that's what I want to say. And I'm saying to you, people, come on, help them. They're good people. Help them.
I appreciate it.
All right. Peace.
Peace to you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate that. Because we're not, it's real when you are really striving to be in equality with people on all points. It's somewhat, like I said, things you can do, things you cannot do, and we never want to come off like the type that are here to just, pillage, pass the dough and all that. We really work to really make what we do as affordable as possible and as viable as possible to make it happen. Because when we committed to do this, after parting ways with Myra, Shira Eldress said it was a time in which everybody just got crazy. You know what I'm saying? Everybody. And it was like this, it's almost like disconnect where a lot of stuff would be said around or about us, but then when we there, it's like that's not whatever you think, that's not who we are. Unless you know me, unless you talk to me or her, you're only going by what you think. However, at the same time, we couldn't go in how, the sister wanted to go in at the time with the work. And so in that, it became a thing about working to maintain, because again, as I said earlier, you know what it's like, yo. I know what it's like to get into this and really want to go in and go through all these stages, seeing how these things happen and what that can sometimes do to the spirit. And that's why it's happening. You know what I'm saying? And some people who are the culprits and the exhibitors of that type of behavior don't even realize that that's what they were born or here to do. So at the same time, they are fulfilling their obligation and goal, yet at the expense of you and yours. So we want to have something propel outward to that way the people can have something that they can not only be entertained by, but really do the knowledge to the same way you would be as if we was go into the Smithsonian and all that, to the point where it's going to be the first comic book where you could actually go to the library and go in. You know what I'm saying? However, with the liberty of fiction, you know what I mean, and based upon the reality that we live in, unless it's a soundbite, unless it's a trailer, unless it's a T-shirt, unless it's a whatever, the more in-depth it is, the less people are going to try to deal with it. So we got to find ways to inject it into the mainstream consciousness, which spills over into our favor, as opposed to us being exploited by it, which is what is traditionally happening right now. So, again, I appreciate that call. Thank you all for helping us with this endeavor. It's really heartfelt. Without, but at the same time, you know, I'm looking at it, it's like, for 2 years or some odd it's been going on, we want to upgrade this whole thing so that way we all can partake. It's not just, you know, what the people want to do. Because if we all, on a certain level, all be able to do what we want to do individually, but when we come together collectively, it's about this. It's about that. Everybody can speak about that because everybody points to it to do it. And it can literally happen overnight. People wake up to Lotto every day. Every day. They ain't telling people that they get Lotto winners they own money. Either they close the account, but, you know, the closed accounts don't exist according to certain corporate people. However, people still make thousands of dollars every year for the businesses that they do. So, let's get it slow. 843, Superhero Radio.
Yeah, peace.
Peace.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can, brother. How you doing?
Yeah, this is Mike. I'm from Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And going back to what you were saying in the beginning of your call, I've been feeling that way for the past 2 years because I got about 150 DVDs, yours included, Valentine, Hemet, everybody. And we all into the deep stuff, intergalactic and the spiritual. And all that was good and fine. But nobody ever talked about the economics. And this is why we're in the situation we're in now. Now, my question to you is this. I don't know if you heard it or watched it or bought it, but Brother Polite in the last few months has been campaigning about a financial renaissance type situation, about focusing on just finances. And he had some DVDs and a couple of lectures come out in the last 2 months. And one of them was called Stocks and Bonds and some other stuff with the real estate. But what I want to ask you about is, because I heard Phil Valentine mention this as well as a lot of Moors mention it, about some aspect of your Social Security number being held at 55 Water Street, and that your Social Security number has a certain amount of money represented by it in the form of stocks or investments or whatever, and all we got to do is claim it and all this other crap. And he just had a seminar like a month ago about this, and I'm saying to myself, when I heard it a year ago from Phil Valentine, and I'm hearing it again now, and I'm like, if this is so prevalent and it's truthful, and I mean hundreds of people went to that seminar physically from New York. I'm in South Carolina, but I'm from Brooklyn, Brownsville. And also multitudes also were on the pay-per-view event. So my question is, I don't know if you heard it or went or bought the DVD, but my question is, if all this stuff is true about our Social Security being at 55 Water Street on NASDAQ or Dow Jones, and is represented by a lot of money, why ain't Brother Polite did it, or Phil Valentine did it, or why haven't I heard any people on Know the Ledge conference calls or some of the other popular conference calls? Because I know they all went because they spoke about it before the event, but I've had nobody speak about it after the event. Like, hey, man, that's the new way to go. Or, hey, man, I went down and tried it out on Monday, and it worked. First of all, as a Moor, and from being knowledgeable, I know you've heard about that concept as far as the Social Security being worth some money and those other crap. What's your take on that as far as what I said? Are you familiar with his material recently as far as the financial stuff? Brother Polite?
First, let me say I don't really follow the brother's work, but
okay.
If you're talking about that, then that's great. The origin of that, hearing this from you now, the origin of that 55 Water Street event goes back to the time when me, my queen, and Myra Shira L., another brother, had been working diligently to unlock that aspect of that.
Yes, sir.
And because at the time Myra left the dead was to research for various lecturers, I guess she shared that with them. What research they did with that, I don't know. What I know of it, when we were dealing with this in 2002 to 2004, 2001 to 2004, was that at the time of birth, the so-called Social Security that's manifested out of the name of the U.S. corporation created was housed at 4455 Water Street due to its coordination with the Chamber of Commerce as well as the Dow that is basically down the block on Wall Street. It's a clearinghouse. All of those on Wall Street are clearinghouses for warehouse receipts, which are the bound debts of the so-called American people as it is being used, as it is monetized as currency in lieu of gold or silver or something tangible.
Mm-hmm.
So the financial aspect of getting that is connected to the Social Security card specifically. On the front of the Social Security card is the Social Security number. On the back of the Social Security card, there is a number in red.
That's what he talked about, the numbers in red, okay?
Letter. That starts with a letter. A, B, C, D, E. Each letter is corresponding to a Federal Reserve Bank that is under the jurisdiction of the Department of State. The Department of State, that's point one. Point two is because it's connected to them in that way, the Secretary of Treasury then, who is under the jurisdiction of not only the President, but his supervisor, who is the liaison to the President, who is Evelyn Rothschild.
Okay.
So this would mean for us to use the account, one would have to take control of the U.S. corporation, which is your name in all capital letters.
Mm-hmm.
After you do that, you have to then put the instrument, the corporation, back into circulation with you as the beneficial holder or owner of that corporation that has now been put back into circulation under the jurisdiction for labeling of another term.
Okay.
Once that's done, you then have the indemnity for the fact that you have made the delineation between you and this thing. That's just to maintain the corporation. Once you've taken it out, switched it up, put it back in. Once you've done that, that now has created a delineation between you and the corporation.
Mm-hmm.
In law, which is finance, Law and finance is the same thing to me, because everything in law deals with a charge. You understand? So a charge is something that you get when you buy something. When a service
Exactly.
is provided. So the process of literal exchange has to be brought in the form of commerce overseen by the New York State Chamber of Commerce that happens to have had an office that's by Water Street, which is where everybody's birth certificate, which is the birthplace of everybody in America's birth certificate, whether they want to accept it or not, whether they say it's crazy or not. This is what me, my queen, and Myra discovered in 2003.
Okay.
Then, these Moors were saying nationality, nationality, nationality. But a lot of these Moors that's talking about this now wasn't even out then.
Okay.
So whatever information is being brought forth, all I can expound on is what I just told you. With everything else with that, the reason why nobody's been able to do it, to answer your second question, is because we have did the research, again, every Friday for 4 years straight. What we found out, or what we deduced, was that even though you have primary uses to do all of that, the instrument to make that happen, in a sense, has to be signed off on by Evelyn Rothschild.
Which ain't going to happen.
Right, which is one not going to happen. Or, let's say, even if it was the Department of Treasury. At one time, there was a guy named John Snow who was doing shit, but they did it in a way where there was still no accurate record or validation of the fact that the thing went down. So Moors was flipping it and getting property and cars and stuff, but then the next day the sheriff would come and repossess everything, and then the bank is saying, oh, there's no evidence of us even having a transaction. So then we thought of, well, we could create a receipt in which we could do that. But they don't necessarily have to say that they have the receipt because, again, we're giving it to them or accepting it because, in essence, in the transaction, it's not me they're doing business with. They're doing business with the straw man.
Okay.
To get access to the account, we then have to boom, look on the back of your Social Security card, look up where the information is. Let's say if it's go online and then type in Federal Reserve Bank by letter. And then see what letter corresponds to whatever letter is on the back of your Social Security card. And then contact that bank directly and see if there's an account in that name.
He was saying it was all held at Fidelity.
Say again? Yeah, that was in U.S. Fidelity. But then when we said that on the show, 2 weeks after that, they flipped it, and the section where we tell people to go was a Danny. So it may be there, but it may be under another name.
Okay.
I got to do every section of the damn website to figure out what this thing is named under now. Because remember, they reorganized everything after Goldman Sachs took over the Department of Treasury.
Exactly.
That's why Tim Geithner was indicted based upon the $1.2 trillion that he siphoned out of the deal with China to come over here as a military force to lock us down.
Yeah.
So ultimately, that means for anybody to get their money, anybody to get direct access to their account, it cannot plug into people some way or Anglo-American. You then have to go through endless means of trial and error, which then is going to keep you in a cyclical time that is going to suck spiritual energy from you. The more energy you give to it and the more you see it's not manifesting how you want.
And also attract mad attention to you.
What happens? You got to be careful. You got to do your own research. I know this, like I said, based upon my history with this aspect of it. But like I said, at the time we was dealing with it, nobody was on it. Like everybody was on some challenge jurisdiction.
Yeah, license plates and those other crap. Because every DVD, everybody I heard mention this concept, I have yet to hear somebody do it. And that's what gets me pissed off.
And that's what I said. I've met almost everybody in this shit. And I've asked niggas directly. Okay, I've gone to the Department of State to get a deposit directly. I've been at the Social Security Homeland Security to come and try to scare us in the back of shit. Like, we've gone through shit like that. So these people, and they was like, well, we already know. We already know. we just wanted to see if if y'all was on some trying to, and I'm like, what, put everybody on? And it's like, well, whoever's on, nobody's on it like this, because what we're talking about is practical shit. If I don't see nothing, no practical, I don't see nobody driving around in no van or opening up no school that they got or for some closed account, then it don't exist. Because if it did, then somebody would have said something. And if they haven't, and it did, that means they serving somebody's agenda anyway, which again means it's a trap.
That's my point, exactly.
And again, all of this UCC shit, all of that UCC shit was injected into the Moorish cosmogony due to the fear that they always had of the Moorish thing from the FBI going back to Hoover, before Hoover, and all of that. But typically around the idea of understanding their own nationality through law.
Yes.
Indigenous nationality law. So within the process of that, they work through the Patriots, the same Tea Party people on these people now. They work through them to start to get the Moors to focus on the shit, and they focus on the whole, white thing, WHIT versus WHIGHT, WIGHT, and then it became a whole thing about that, which then put the whole nationality thing under a greater microscope, which then opened it up for more debate, and now it's where it is. So, yes it works, but it's going to work. It's almost like I said, it's like what they call, the alchemists used to call it a Hieronymus machine. And basically it's like a golden box with a bunch of gears in it. And whatever you want to make, somehow or another, the gears come together and make it happen.
Exactly.
So you know what I'm saying? So it may actually happen, or it may be a figment of people's imagination and speculation that are trying to make happen.
Yeah, because like I said, man, there was this major promotion about it, and I ain't heard not one person on none of these conference on blog talk stations mention the seminar afterwards. Like, yo, this stuff worked. Yo, I went down and did it. Not one. This is over a month now.
That's what I'm saying. It comes and it goes. It's like this and it's that. It's cool.
But the DVDs and the books are already sold.
What? Of course, man. I walked away from situations where we began talking about this, and people was creating what do they call, frivolous arguments that made no sense, just to take the crowd away from what I was saying. So when I started seeing lectures coming on the same day, like we were doing a show for 2 years, all of a sudden people got their show on the same day. Like, it's cool. Like, I see what's going on, but it's not always for me. It can't always be for me to always say something, because it's not about that for me.
Exactly.
Integrity. But to keep the integrity of what we're doing, we can't be a part of certain things.
Yeah. No, well, I'm going to tell you like this, man. I know you probably hear this 1,000 times a day or a week, but I'm going to start supporting financially. I can't do much now. I'm a cook down here at Margaritaville, and I got like 2 days a week now, but I will start supporting on a monthly basis, because you're one of the few I listen to on a weekly basis, and it's always solid, practical information. It's simple. It's not hype. It's not, you ain't promoting your books and DVDs. You give out your website at the end, and that's it. You're not, you know what I'm trying to say? I'm just tired of the hype, man. I swear I'm tired of the hype. I got like 150 DVDs, and maybe 5 or 10 I can use in my life. The rest were hyped up titles, man.
Yep.
Hyped up titles. I got better books than DVDs. The books I got are better than the DVDs. Don't get me wrong. But I don't want to take up your whole call, but this economic thing is just major now in the conscious community, because ain't nobody got no money, but everybody's so damn intelligent and so smart with no money. I'm a cook, and I got more money than some of these lecturers, man. And I got a wife and 2 kids and a daughter in college. Come on. Medicine, 4th year.
Real quick shit is that more before you can have a whole nation and do all the stuff that a lot of people are promoting, you have to first understand how your house is going to function. once you establish your house through a family trust, through a trust, provided for in the hereafter, you have now created an interface for you and the ancestors of the community. And therefore, whatever money you make, you, as a beneficiary or benefactor of the trust, all your money and everything goes to that, which means you can own more stuff because you don't really have to pay for it because it all goes to the trust.
Yeah.
And you establish your house. Once your house is established, then you have, again, in the formal coat of arms, the way the Moors used to do it, if we're talking about Moors now, it used to be that your family would have its own house and its own jurisdiction expressed, and in that, that would represent you. And when we get together, you would sit with that on you or next to you in some way, but we all would give respect to whatever flag represented all of us. So if we can have all of these pictures all today, why is it so hard to get this popping? Because a lot of people, again, are here to make money and do other things that promote an agenda that is opposite of the opposite goal.
Yeah.
So not for you or me, unless these people get to the point where they get so out of control or whatever, but they expose themselves. You know,
yeah, and it's starting to happen.
Yeah, this is on them. This has nothing to do with me. So whatever people want to say or whatever, it has nothing to do with me, because if you didn't say it, I wouldn't even talk about this right now.
Exactly.
But you are the people.
And guess what? If I'm thinking it, there's thousands more thinking it.
Who peeped that? I didn't even know that went on.
Yeah.
But again, Ira, bless her dead, as she's returned now, she's slipping up a lot of shit. I feel it. Because she knows what she provides to this.
Oh, yeah, you talking about the one that just died or the one from North Carolina?
Yes. No, I'm talking about up north in New York.
The one that just died?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
She was me and the Queen's first astrology teacher.
Okay.
But thank you for calling, my brother. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Safe.
Peace.
Thank you, guys. So, yeah, anybody wants to holler at me, please holler at me at House of L, HOUSOFL, at hotmail.com. I really appreciate all of your help, support, I really, not really to ask, put it out there like that. Because we're okay, but at the same time, we could do a lot more if we have more. So as we are a focal point that we want to get, provide, as opposed to just asking, not seeing where the shit is going. I mean, and then if we all come up. So thank you again. Check our website out, www.mytheoryofgift.com. Also, check out www.superheavyradio.com, www.darkscope418.com. But we definitely want to say peace and thank you all for all your help, support, well wishes. Let's keep this down. Hopefully, we see a lot of people back from the state. Again, House of L, HOUSEOFL, hotmail.com. The flyer, like, for the class. And again, it's really about what we talk about, like protection, free you up to be able to attract that which you need, as opposed to just getting stuff to sustain your present situation. So again, with that, we say peace. Thank you for all of